Hi everyone, thank you for watching. This is a special video about drumming and neuroplasticity. I noticed many of you watched that video and I wanted to tell you a little bit more about the topic related to the actual experience of drumming. And I might give you a little demo about it too. So when we talk about neuroplasticity, we're talking about generating new brain cells. And there's actually an entire field of work by Dr. Joe Dispenza about all of this. And I was amazed to find out how it's been really evidenced now in all of his research that we can actually totally change our identity by building these new brain cells. It's something that I experienced many times drumming, not only on the level of identity, of course, but really on the level of just changing your thought pattern dramatically sometimes while drumming. And this comes when you're actually playing rhythms that force you to come out of that time signature and into another one. That's the most kind of amazing way to do it, I guess. It's very difficult and it's done by some master drummers. Zaha Fresco, one of my teachers on frame drum, was an example of that. He's somebody that would play on the count of one on every cycle. So if you're a drummer, you would know that that means that he doesn't keep the same time signature, repeating the cycle over and over. He actually plays every beat according to its own time signature, and then every pulse rather, right? For those who aren't drummers, I explain it simply that actually it means that the mind is never getting stuck in a loop. Your thoughts are never just repeating to keep playing that rhythm. Now we know that has a therapeutic effect. When you play the same pattern over and over and over again, it creates a biofeedback loop. And of course, it's a very powerful one because it kind of locks you into that rhythm. That's when we create something called a groove. That's when you want to dance and you keep that really bouncing, balancing pattern maybe in your body or maybe just in your mind as you're playing, enjoying that kind of repeating sound. But when you actually take a specific rhythm sequence and you play it out and then you change it or you build another piece to that rhythm that's quite different, and maybe it's not as developed as changing the whole time signature, you're still doing exactly that. So I'm going to show you one of the rhythms. It's a very simple version of it because it's from West Africa and I made it simplified in order to teach beginners. It's quite tough to teach beginner drummers West African rhythm, and it works on such a complicated system and of layering that it can be quite confusing and quite jarring. So there's some simple building blocks that really help. And this is one of those. It's actually from West Africa, from Mali. One of my first amazing experiences was watching a drummer called Sidi Sangara from Mali play and then solo. And it was like he lit up like a golden ball of light. It's something I tell my students about often. And this experience of drumming this particular rhythm I learned from him is one example of how each block of rhythm beats changes the brain pattern very dramatically. And in the end, you kind of get used to it, of course, and keep repeating it because it still has a repetition in it. But it's a good way to sort of come in and out of this rigid way of thinking and then create the flexibility of thinking at the same time. If you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that I talk a lot about dynamic tension. That's this beautiful balance between the polarities, the tension with concentration, rigidity, focus, and action, and then the dynamism or flexibility of flow, relaxation, allowing, releasing, relaxing, and then being, unfolding inside of what just unfolds in your experience. These two polarities, two different opposites maybe, come together when you're drumming and they create this really interesting balance of the opposites, very much like what you would see in the yin and yang, what's meant in a lot of mystical teachings about balancing the opposites. In fact, there's a fancy word for that, complementarity of opposites. So how can we see that working in a rhythm? Let me show you the rhythm. I call it Nine Fires of Africa, but it has a traditional name, and I will demonstrate to you the three different parts. One is in 9 beats, just 9 pulses. The second is in a very quick kind of 4-beat rhythm block, and then the third one is exactly the same, 4 beats, but played consecutively. And then we repeat the rhythm. This rhythm is quite amazing because it does have a very interesting variation that after time I've kind of mixed it up quite a lot and gotten carried away with sometimes, and then found and discovered many other rhythms from it. But actually, this particular rhythm is a fourth stage in my beginner drum series where I teach people 5 very foundational rhythms. This is the fourth one in that batch, and you have it. So I'm going to play a quick demo here. If you want to watch me play the whole thing and build the variations and really kind of develop it, then you're welcome to come and watch the following video that will show you exactly that 9 5s of Africa rhythm. But remember, this video is about neuroplasticity, and it's encouraging you then to also think about other ways. Drumming is one, but there are many others where you can unlock yourself from learned patterns of behavior. Drumming can become your intentional way of doing that, where you kind of intend to manifest that, and you could use this rhythm for that. And if you'd want to know more about how to do that, you can always reach out to me, and I will invite you to one of my special drum courses online and or in person here in Cyprus. Take care. Bye.